So I'm here with Ray Elliot, and Ray is going to walk a mile with me on so many roads today. How you doing, Ray?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Sunday
thanks.
morning, 8:30.
It's not a good time for most musicians, right? Wasn't there
I
wasn't
guess
there
I guess it depends what you were up to last night. But another day is another day. It's great.
wasn't there a song written about that somewhere along the way? I think it was called, it was a pretty good song called Sunday Morning.
Oh yeah, Sunday morning come down, right? That's
Yeah.
that would have to be Pilot.
Yeah, I mean it's like
Hey.
the Christofferson kind of anthem that
Yeah, Chris Christopherson. He
most.
just stopped playing this year or last year.
Yeah, he was sick, eh? They thought he had Lyme disease, but I guess that isn't what it was. I think he found out that or no, they thought it was something else, and it ended up being Lyme disease. I think that's how that went. But anyway, lest we digress. So listen, Ray, tell me. I guess maybe start off with when did you start treating music as a really important part of your life?
I think it would probably have to be when I got my first guitar, and I was in high school, and a group of buddies, Andrew McLeod and Daryl Lonsberry and Adrian Syria, we started to start a band. So we all went and bought musical instruments. We didn't know how to play, so basically we were a punk band, and we got to play at the one of the dressing rooms in the activity center in Jasper. It
In
was
Jasper.
maybe 8 feet by 8 feet, cinder block and loud.
So Jasper was your home at that point?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Yeah, yeah, nice. And when did you migrate to Saskatoon?
I think it's got to be almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah,
This is at a time where uh, it Saskatchewan hadn't boomed like it did. So you have no idea how many times people told me I was going the wrong way.
After you came to Saskatoon or before?
After I came,
Oh, no kidding, eh?
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. But here you are, this many years later, and it feels pretty good, I guess.
Oh, it feels great. I love Saskatoon. I think it's a great city. I've lived all over, traveled all over, and it's it's really I really enjoy it. I like the size. It's not too big. Um, I think it's a beautiful city.
And it's got a pretty vibrant music community that you're a big part of.
Well, I'm part of it. I don't know how big I am in that scene, but the one thing I will say about the Saskatoon music community is I find that pretty much everyone supports everyone, and it doesn't matter what genre of music you play. It's just a really good vibe and a really good scene.
Yeah, yeah, I would have to agree. So speaking of genres, you're kind of tough to put in a certain lane. What genre would you say you are when somebody says, hey Ray, what kind of music do you play? What's your answer?
Well, I think there's a whole bunch of genres mixed in there. I would say that the easiest thing is that basically singer-songwriter. Um, for the most part, when I play those songs with just my voice and a guitar, that's the singer-songwriter side. But I also have a lot of influences that I guess make up my musical DNA, from early punk rock to my mom listened to a lot of jazz,
Yeah,
and I listened to pretty much anything I could get my hands on when I was growing up. And then that time it would be records.
yeah.
Um, my mom did have a massive stack of Beatles records. My brother and I, we'd put a stack on and we'd listen to those all the time.
So well, everybody has the Beatles in their history, I think, probably if they've lived, in the last 30 years. But it's an interesting mix. You say punk, and your mom, had a lot of jazz around. So if somebody was looking for your CDs in a CD bin at a record store, where would they most likely find it?
Oh, I think I would probably say alt country Canadiana,
Yeah,
Americana.
yeah, yeah. Alt country, I think, probably is a good. That's a good, really cool fit, I would say. So listen, you mentioned guitar. So I first saw you at a local establishment here in town, and you were playing the resonator, and it was like, oh, it kind of stopped me. It was like, because not a lot of people play resonators, and you used it in that sort of singer-songwriter mode. What is it about the resonator that kind of compels you?
I think it's just a completely unique sound. And for me, I can get the sound that I want when I'm playing that resonator, be it in front of an Omni mic or at a bluegrass festival. But I can also plug that in, and I can get I can still keep the acoustic qualities, and I can take some of those electric elements that I like too. So I find it to be really versatile.
Yeah. So when you're writing, is that your instrument of choice?
Yeah, it's a 1937. It's called an Angeles. An Angeles was basically a subsidiary of Dobro.
Yep.
And they called it an Angeles because it was the cheapest guitar that they made, and they didn't want to badge it as a Dobro. But I just really love it. It's pretty unique. It's got lots of songs in it.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. You mentioned that it's the one that you go to it's a wooden body.
Yeah, I like the warm tones you get from a wooden body resonator, and then you get more of a electric tones, or I guess higher on the register for a steel body resonator.
Yeah, yeah. So now listen, in having gone over a number of your songs, I have to ask you, it's not a trick question, it's just a straight up question. And do you consider yourself like a journalist, or are you a fiction writer?
I would have to say a lot of those songs that I write are about people I know or experiences that I've had. So there's a lot of truth to pretty much 80% of the stuff that I do. I have to get something out of it, a feeling or that it matters, that it's important. And usually, I've got lots of songs I haven't finished, but those are the ones that I do finish are, I guess, what I consider to be the good ones.
How do you know they're finished?
Well, they're never ever really finished. I mean, you could look at, they evolve over time, and they evolve as you grow older, and they evolve with the different people that you play with. So there's a basic structure that we adhere to, but if we want to go off on a tangent, we can do that too.
Yep. How have you changed? So you have 2 CDs in the can, right? You've got Good Prairie Folk and Prairie Mountain Resonator, and you're working on another one. How would you say that you have changed? How would you characterize your development?
I think I've become a better songwriter in that craft. I think I've become a better lyricist and probably a better musician. I'm going to be 52 here in May, so I guess I'm getting close to those 10,000 hours that people talk about.
I don't know anybody who's actually counted the hours, right? But it just feels like 10,000 hours sometimes, right?
Yeah, me neither. It's just I don't know. You just hear that, right? I tell my kid, he plays soccer. I go, you need 10,000 hours to be there.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, again, it's like and then when you're there, you sort of go, okay, now I know where I need to go, right? It's not.
Yeah, I think a lot of the part how those songs evolve too is, I always tell my band, it's this song's not going to be how we play it until we go through it at least 50 times. And then at 50, it pretty well becomes what it is. So I try not to tell anyone in my band, no, I want you to play this, or I will say, no, that's got to go. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But pretty much, I hope to think that what they bring to the Ray Elliot band is really important too.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're any more important than they are in that moment, right?
No, I want they're all great musicians, and they've got a lot more to bring to the table than I do. So it's like, give them some free reign.
Mm-hmm. hmm So in your CDs, do you act as the producer? Do you play that role, or do you ask somebody else to step into that role?
The first two albums, Ross Nikiforuk was the producer. I really liked working with Ross, and it was I worked with him on the first album and the second album. But this third album, I think we played a few of these songs for quite a while now, and just had the opportunity to record. So I think by way of just playing them 50 times, I mean, we know them, or some of them there's hundreds and hundreds of times. I think we know them, and we had a thought that we wanted with this next album. We didn't want to do too many overdubs. We wanted to take advantage of what we had, and maybe use more vocals. And it's a real kind of true representation of what we sound like live.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's really big, isn't it? Eh?
I think so. I enjoy it, but I also enjoy the, in the studio where you can play with things and whatnot. And, you can play that one song that I sent you, that 6 Feet of Prairie. It kind of shows the difference, for, that's playing around. So we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, the energy, right?
Yeah, that was recorded up at Ness Creek with Dylan Cooper.
Yeah. So on this upcoming collection, is there any kind of a theme that's running through it? Is it, is there a certain set of ideas that kind of unify it, or are we talking about 10, 11 totally different pieces of music?
I think they're kind of one commonality is they're either stories that I've, stuff that's happened to me in the past, or stuff that's happened to friends.
Yep.
Or, basically that's big content is I try and write about what I know. And, more often than not, those are, the people who that are in my life.
Right. Of course. Yeah. So it's your experience. You're a journalist really who uses music.
Well, I guess it's my own personal little scrapbook or journal, in a sense that, those are things that I'm going through my life at that time and at that moment. And so if it grabs me, I write a song about it.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about one in particular. There's lots that I could ask you about, but Man on the Porch. What was the genesis of that song?
Well, that's a Jasper story, and there used to be a guy in Jasper who was considered to be, I guess, a little different. He literally did play on his porch naked sometimes. When he had passed away, they had found that he had tunneled underneath his house, and dump truck fell through in the alleyway because he hadn't shorted up. But they found car parts down there.
Wow.
He had also applied for a patent to look for a carburetor that ran on water, or a vehicle.
Huh.
And that was substantiated. I did find a piece of paper that he had wrote away for a patent. But he was just a real character. George Hartley was his name.
George Hartley. Huh.
Yeah. That's just an amalgamation of all these stories. That Jasper's a small town, so a lot of those stories came from a series of different people that I'd known. Like Robbie Clettle told me about the Flintlock Pistols, and everyone had a George Hartley story. So I just kind of went out there and gathered them. And
yeah, did you meet him? Did you spend any time with him?
No, I didn't. This is he had passed away when I was a young boy, but the stories, they kept on coming. He had buried a full-size 40 sedan in his backyard. He greased it, covered it with burlap, and it's still there today.
No kidding. Huh. Wow, a character. Tell me about the Hotel Albion.
Well, that was interesting. The Hotel Albion, I discovered that story. It's a true story. It was in my family tree. And I was kind of surprised I'd never heard that story because it was about the two Elliot brothers who owned the Hotel Albion in Bayfield, Ontario. And I think it was Frederick or Harvey ended up shooting, his brother,
Right.
and killed him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great story. But I was surprised I'd never heard about it, through the family circles at all. It's like that was buried pretty deep. So I thought it was a pretty wild story.
And how did you ultimately find out about it?
Oh, I had a family tree that was sent to me, and it was just basically at that time it was just paper, and it was on a typewriter, and it just detailed everyone in the family, genealogy, and then had a few stories. And I came to the Elliot brothers.
So they were your uncles?
They would have been great uncles.
Okay, so a couple generations back.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. So
it was a good song. I had done well on Canada Reads. I was paired with a graphic artist, Jeff. I forget his name. He did some stuff with Gord from the Tragically Hip too.
Yeah, Gord Downey. Yeah.
So that was in there, and it was also in a play that was actually in Bayfield, Ontario, and that was the retrial of the Elliot brothers by Carry-On Night.
Oh. Huh. So really, in that sense, your song is a little slice of history, huh?
Oh, totally. It's my family history. That's all true with that one too.
Huh. Very interesting. It's very cool. So now I get the sense, now correct me if I'm wrong, I get the sense that this music is not about making a lot of money for you. It's more about you telling these stories. Am I right on
Well,
that?
well, I mean, I do what I do. It's like I've never had any grand expectations. I think I do it more for me than I do it for everyone else. And if people like that, that's great. It's kind of something I like to do. It's social. It's fun. It's creative.
Right. Well, you get to share your stories, right?
Yeah, and I think it's. I think it's authentic. I think it's real. I think one thing that I have learned is people can figure out fake pretty easy. So
that's the truth.
Yeah, well, when you do it long enough, people know.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, I saw you play on stage, and it was like, okay, who's this guy? I'm interested in this guy. So it was very coincidental that I met you after I had lunch with Jillian. So that was, I thought, okay, right. Wait a second, wait a minute, that's the guy I saw.
No, you're putting it all together now, right?
Well, it's weird how these things go, but so what's
7 degrees of separation for bands?
I think it's fewer than that, really. So what's next? I know you're working on the collection of songs, recordings. The pandemic is it looks like the end is pretty much at hand as far as that pandemic is concerned. So things are opening up. Do you have what are your immediate plans as far as performing?
Performing, we're looking to. Right now, we're focusing on recording. So we'll be starting here in the next week. That should take us a while. So we're going to start that with Ryan Anderson. And then we've got some summer dates confirmed.
Yeah.
We'll go to Jasper for probably 10 days and do a little tour.
Nice.
But the next show coming up will be at Basement, and we're hoping that'll be our CD release.
Oh, wow. So do you have a tentative date for that?
I believe that's April 27th.
Wow.
Actually, May 27th.
Okay.
I'll confirm that with you. I believe it's May 27th.
Okay, so yeah, let's confirm that. So we can say a tentative date release May 27th if it's not firmed up. I'll be packaging this interview between now and a week from Monday. So I'll check back with you about all of that.
Sounds good.
What else do people need to know about you as a musician, Ray?
Oh, I guess I just do it because I love it. And I don't know. It's pretty much it. I think if you listen to my music and you like it and you connect, then I've done my part. Not everybody is going to like it, but that's fine too.
Well, that sounds good. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time with us this morning. I know it's probably not high in your list of things to do, but
oh no, this is great.
Thanks a lot. I'll definitely I'll send you the link to the YouTube when it's done, and I'll be working on it. I may have a couple questions to follow up with you on certain things, but
hey, I just realized something. You're my people. You called it the YouTube. I do that too.
Oh yeah, the YouTube.
My kids get pissed off when I call it TikTok.
Yeah, right. I know it's the tools of our trade, I guess. I don't know. I honestly.
Well, it's the tools of our trade, but also our generation, right?
Well, that's it. I guess that's right. Sad but true, I suppose. But well, listen.
No, it's all good.
Well, thanks, Ray.
All right, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, and take care and enjoy the Sunday.
I will do. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.